Hello everyone, myself Varshini. Currently I am pursuing BE in Sri Venkateshwara College of Engineering. Today my topic is Raspberry Pi. So the contents are introduction, hardware layout of Raspberry Pi, components of Raspberry Pi, configuration of Raspberry Pi, applications of Raspberry Pi, and wireless temperature monitoring system using Raspberry Pi. So first, let us see what are the definitions of Raspberry Pi. Raspberry Pi is defined as a mini computer where it has the size of a credit card that is interoperable with any input and output hardware devices like a monitor, television, mouse, or a keyboard. Effectively, it converts that setup into a full-fledged PC at a very low cost. Some of the examples of Raspberry Pi are it can be used in game servers, printers, robotic controllers, and desktops. This picture shows the hardware layout of Raspberry Pi, where it consists of micro SD card, GPIO pins, that is general purpose input output pins. It also has HDMI port, audio jack, micro USB power, Ethernet port, and it has two USB ports which is connected external to the board. This is the block diagram of Raspberry Pi architecture where we are using BCM2835, which is externally connected to the Ethernet and USB ports, and it is also connected to SD card, camera module. Internally it is also connected to HDMI and display. It is also connected to power supply and GPIO ports. So let us see what are the components of Raspberry Pi. It consists of processor, HDMI cable, GPIO ports, audio output, USB ports. So processor, Raspberry Pi uses Broadcom BCM2835 system on chip. It is a ARM processor and it also has video core GPU, that is graphics processing unit, HDMI cable. So the full form or acronym of HDMI is High Definition Multimedia Interface, where it is used for transmitting video or digital audio data to a computer or a digital TV. It also has GPIO ports, that is general purpose input output ports, which are available on the Raspberry Pi, which allows the user to interface various input output devices. It also has audio output, where it has an audio connector which is available in the Raspberry Pi for connecting audio output devices such as headphones and speakers. It also has USB ports. There are usually two USB ports in Raspberry Pi. It is a common port available for various peripherals such as mouse, keyboard, or any other input output devices. It also has some of the other components like SD card, Ethernet, power supply, camera module, and display. So SD card slot is available only on Raspberry Pi. So SD card, it is also integrated with an operating system. It is installed in the Raspberry Pi because it is required for booting of device. Ethernet, so Ethernet connector, it allows access to the wired network and it is available only on the model of Raspberry Pi. It also has power supply. So power is supplied through micro USB power connector, which is available, onto which we can connect only 5-volt power supply can be connected. We also have camera module. Camera module has a component like camera serial interface that connects the Broadcom processor to the Pi camera. We also have display. It consists of display serial interface, which is used for connecting LCD to Raspberry Pi using 15 to 15 pin ribbon cables. So the configuration of Raspberry Pi. Raspberry Pi configuration looks like this picture. So it consists of system, interfaces, performance, localization. We have options like password, host name, boot, auto login, network at boot, splash screen, resolution, and underscan. So what are the steps for installation or configuration of Raspberry Pi? So we have the steps like change password, change the host name, boot and auto login. So change password. The default password is Raspberry. So user can change it by clicking the change password button. We can also change the host name, but the default name is Raspberry Pi. So user can change the host name whenever he want to switch to other network. We also have boot option. So you can choose two options and control whether Raspberry Pi boots into a desktop or a CLI, that is command line interface. We also have an option like auto login. With the help of this option, you can set whether the user can automatically log into the system or not. We have other options like network at boot. By choosing this option, you can set whether the Pi user is automatically logged in or not to the system. We also have an option like splash screen where you can enable or disable it whenever you want. On enabling, it will display the graphical splash screen that allows Raspberry Pi booting, and whenever you disable it, it will disable the option. We also have an option like resolution. With the help of this option, you can configure the resolution of your screen. We also have an option like underscan. There are two options, same as like splash screen, where it consists of enable and disable, where it is used to change the size of the displayed screen image to optimally fill the screen. So some of the applications of Raspberry Pi are build a time-lapse camera and build a home surveillance system. So build a time-lapse camera. Time-lapse camera, it compresses many hours or days into a few seconds or minutes. So what are the components required to build a time-lapse camera? So you need a Raspberry Pi Zero, micro USB power pack, Pi camera and Pi camera cable. So during this project, you can learn the basic script coding, basic Python terminology, how to take automatic pictures and how to control general purpose input output pins. So another application is build a home surveillance system. Home surveillance system can be very expensive compared to the time-lapse camera, but the technology is very basic, where you will use the Unix or Linux system to run the Raspberry Pi board. And we also have connecting devices. We can connect through Wi-Fi, wired or wireless. We have hardware assembly and software installation. But the most expensive project of this application is it requires mainly Raspberry Pi Model B, Pi camera module and a housing unit for the camera and micro USB for the power supply, and it also requires SD class 10 card. So another important application of Raspberry Pi is how we can detect or monitor the temperature, that too without wires, using Raspberry Pi. So as you can see in the picture, where we have two major things, that is encoder and decoder. So encoder is connected to the transmitter, which is in turn connected to the LED, which is in turn connected to the microcontroller for the software simulation, which is connected to the ADC, that is analog to digital converter, which is in turn connected to the temperature sensor, and ADC is also connected to the LCD. We have a decoder which is connected to the LED and which is also connected to the receiver. We have RS-232, which is the receiver, which is connected to the laptop, which is also connected to the microcontroller and in turn connected to the LCD. So let us see how it works. So the main components used in this model are, it consists of microcontroller for the software simulation, where it have analog to digital converter, where it converts the analog to digital data. We have a temperature sensor, transceiver, receiver, encoder and decoder. So the main wireless components are the transmitter, that is TX433, and the receiver RX433. For the microcontroller, we are using a version that is P89V51RD2 is chosen, which falls under the 8051 microcontroller family. This microcontroller family has 8-bit input and output ports, which can support various input and output configurations.